Hi everyone, how are you? It looks like I'm live right now. I hope I am. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like I am. So, it's good to have you here. And as you all know, I am from Boston. Dun, 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 dun. And I have some comments about the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial, like the Karen Reed trial and the Officer O'Keefe's death from Boston police. And because I'm from Boston and because I also know the towns, the little towns in Boston, in Massachusetts, as you go, drive through or bike through. I bike in these uh, towns and pass through by car through these towns. And let me tell you that these pictures that have been shown in the trial, they look so huge, right? The roads look so big, so large, the yard, etc. And let me tell you, in truth, in reality, those are narrow streets, roads, and on the each side there are these yards and then the lawns and then the houses. So it's not that big. So it looks very huge, but it's actually not that huge. I just want you to clarify that. And also, what we see here is it is a typical old Boston, Massachusetts towns, like these families, these deep rooted families. And so far, it's day 13, and in this Karen Reed trial, and there's so much going on, like the depth of the relationships of everyone involved is just mind blowing. Like, and it's also, and as you all know, I always analyze trials and things and what's happening in the world based on sociological implications as well as psychological analysis. Yeah. And this is how I read and interpret things, the body language, as well as how this affects the society, or how the societal uh, pressures and societal norms are actually causing these murder cases. Yeah. And in this case, it is so clear, particularly today. And I was looking, like, the majority of the time I was looking forward to her um, testimony, and that was Jen McCabe, who was actually with Karen Reed while they were searching for John O'Keefe. So, and I have been proven correct in my mind. I knew it, I said it since day one, and I did the last two videos analysis regarding jealousy, and I mentioned the jealousy was based on the two officers are jealous about John O'Keefe, right? The Brian Albert, the former Boston 30-year almost Boston police officer, the sergeant detective. I mean, we will get to there. The amount of lies in this trial, in this case, is mind-blowing to me. It was so particularly designed, it is just crazy. And because they knew from the scratch they will get away with it. They knew it, and the plan was literally based on the cover-up plan, not the murder plan. maybe I don't believe there is a murder plan. I think what happened was they wanted to just beat him up, but I think then Colin, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins and the dog were all involved, and I think that accidentally in that heat and in the alcohol, and we'll get to there, uh, somebody just hit him with the head. And I think the person who actually hit him in the back of his head most likely was Colin, or make him so nearly die was probably Colin, because he was the one that was being protected and hidden for 1.5 years now throughout the entire process. So he must have, because he was also underaged, number one, because of that, and number two, because I believe he caused a major issue that relate him to be dying, which is most likely the hit on the back of his head. Because Officer John O'Keefe, unfortunately, I mean, it is just wild to me, as per report, lost 3 liters of blood. Think about that. 3 liters of blood. And because everyone was drinking alcohol, again, we'll get to there, that his blood was thin already, and the amount of blood that's been leaked out is just undescribable. I mean, it is just wild. And so the jealousy was from these 3 guys, right? Colin hated him because of his childhood trauma or childhood things. But we will also get to that about the hatred and the family, Chris Albert and Colin's mother. We will get to there, okay? I will explain that to you. But that amount of hatred that is in Colin's blood, like in Colin's inside of him, and this push to bring and burst his hatred and anger and this energy, this toughness is bringing this out. I think it was being tested or done also to Officer John O'Keefe, also because of the influence of alcohol. The jealousy for Brian Albert, I believe, was also towards John O'Keefe, because John O'Keefe was a good guy, was known to be a good guy. And as always in the society, we do know that bad people are jealous of good people. The good guy, the good girl. And we see this over and over and over again, that these the good people, right, are always are being the target of jealousy. We see this over and over again. So Brian Albert, and when you look at his statements and witness stand, it is just one lie of the next, one lie of the next, one lie of the next, and you just like cannot believe that in that day and age, and that age of a person, just like lying so much that it just goes like, bread and butter, like the lies, right? And the people who pathologically lie and think that they're above the law and above everybody, this entitlement. We will talk about the entitlement in this case also in a second. The entitlement, right? I am like this ultra strong cop with all the history. Everybody knows me. I'm a solid. I'm a rock star. I am like also in the television. I'm like this star police, but my heart is horrible. So I am naturally jealous of this young, good guy. The other jealousy is from Brian Higgins, who is jealous because he has an eye on John O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed. Like what? What is happening here? So, in my opinion, three people are 100% involved. Brian Higgins definitely is involved. Brian Alberts, and so what I believe is Brian Higgins and Brian Albert were together involved, and then so Colin is in. Either first Colin is in, then the two comes in, and then the dog joins because of Brian Albert is going in, and then the whole thing gets into a tug of war. So there is high possibility that, you know, 1 and 2 and the dog, or the two, which I don't believe that these two started it. I believe that Colin must have started, but this is just my observations. But most of the time when I've seen these things, I'm just getting every time confirmation of what I'm thinking, but hey, we need more information. So in the witness stand, the only people were credible were, in my opinion, let me show you. We will get to all of this, okay? We'll get to all of this. I mean, look at, so, oh my God. This one, we will talk about this veterinarian genetic lab witness, like, oh my God. As a scientist, oh my God. I mean, I couldn't bear to listen to her. Like, this was wild. The only people who are credible, in my opinion, is this dude. This is the brother. This is Nagel. Rick, is that Rick Nagel? Ricky Nagel? Or Ryan? I think Rick Nagel. No, this is Ryan Nagel, maybe? Yeah, I think so. Something Nagel. So the girl who had a cross on her chest with her necklace, but still saying that I saw a blob there on the lawn, and she was ultra drunk. We get to the alcohol in just a second, but again, she was ultra drunk, right? Because her brother, him, already said that, yeah, you could tell she was drinking. Like, what does it mean? Smelling, right? Smelling alcohol, and you can just tell that she was quite a bit of drinking, because at that time she was already in there for 8 hours and non-stop drinking, right? So this guy and her former girlfriend, this girl Heather, particularly the only one, was absolutely incredible for body language and sense of you know, she knew herself, she was confident, she was relaxed, she was just telling the truth. You could tell easily what a truthful witness looks like. That's her. A truthful witness, full stop. Zero, or her personality, you can tell she was confident. She tells exactly what it is, what she saw, with zero fear. Zero. She was, full stop, the best witness ever. And the only truthful witness, in my opinion. Her former boyfriend, this dude, also Rick Nagel, right? This Rick or Ryan Nagel, what have you. He was also saying the truth. A little bit of challenge, kind of a weird, if the door was, he said the door was open and she said the windows were down. So only that is a little bit confusing. So, but I could believe that the door was open, because at that moment John O'Keefe must have gone, because everybody was focusing on her, right, on that girl to come into the car. So they were talking. So there's a very easily be able to, that when they open the door, that he must have gone inside. And again, let me tell you, I don't know why people are not focusing on this. John O'Keefe, the people who are not family, going through the front door, not on the side door. People who are family go to the right side, on the side door. John O'Keefe was not family. He was an outsider. Obviously, we see that, right? That's why they're easily be kicked out of people's lives, right? So he was not family. The only way he knew go in was the front door, full stop. So, and this guy also, he was also credible. He was the driver. I think this is Rick, right? Or Ryan or Rick, I don't know, I've confused these two. So this was the driver. She was in the back seat and he was in the passenger seat, right? So these three were relaxed, and you can also tell the way they talk is also respectful towards the prosecution and the defense. If they both are equally nice and respectful, you know they don't have anything to hide. Only this dude was a little bit nervous, and when Matt McCabe was on the stand today, he was also not so bad, but I mean, he was relaxed too, and he seems like in many things he told the truth. He also completely smashed the theory that this boy's sister said, I saw a blob, was 6 feet tall, or something like this. She just literally made up 2 days ago in the trial. And Matt McCabe, who was the driver, said, nope, that never happened. She never yelled. And the other girl also said, yeah, she did yell. The nurse, right? I mean, watch that video. This is my previous video. You see who am I talking about, where, and they have like this crosses, like the nurse and the his sister, blah blah, and just having all of these fake beliefs, right? Like wearing a cross but lying like crazy. This guy was a little bit nervous, but still you could tell he was saying the truth. I think he was also respectful to the defense, and she was absolutely a credible witness, and she was very much calm, collected, and fearless, right? Like, that's the truth, that's how I saw, and that's it. She has nothing to hide and no fear from anyone, and she has no need to be protected or like craving for protection or protecting anyone. She just saw the truth, and you can totally see that. She was just like, that's how it is, that's how I saw it, and equally respectful to both prosecution and defense. Okay, so, and the reason why I'm telling her is because like the way when they arrived in the car, etc. And again, with Matt McCabe telling there was nobody screaming at the inside the car yelling that, oh my god, I saw blob on the lawn. So that was important there for me. So let's talk about, okay, let's talk about her. Oh my god. So this is just like, this is supposedly an expert, right? She made like this fancy wording of molecular genetics. I mean, I am a genetic engineer. I'm a geneticist. My doctor, PhD was in genetics. I am a genetic engineer. So all of these like wording was so fancy schmancy, like, and just, you know, like this attitude was like, and this molecular this, and the genetics this, and the blah blah blah. So, but when it came, and she was testing the swabs from the scratches of John O'Keefe's, apparently the scratches from his arm, on his right arm. And then they found like 0, and the swabs were being sent to their lab, and then they just like in a package, and then just put it out and tested it and said, hey, nope, excuse me, nope, there is no absolutely canine, no dog genes, DNA whatsoever. And of course the defense challenged us, like, excuse me, listen, how do you even know from where they got that, right? They can just like, how you need to follow the trace to where you got the samples from. Like in the laboratory, right, when we work with patients, and when we get the blood, of the DNA, I mean the blood and the tissue, what have you, and we extract the DNA and we expand the DNA, etc. I mean, we know from what type of patient it came from, we know the history of the patient, so that's the whole point, right? Like, how do you do research and analysis and come to a conclusion if you have no idea what type of patient it is, right? You can just like, this can come from somebody on the street, and you're just like, okay, there's no this research DNA or whatever we are looking for. It's just total crap. And the same thing goes to this type of pathologic, these type of murder cases. Like, are you kidding, right? And the attitude of her was just it's hard to watch, seriously. And then, when the prosecution was talking to her, she was just looking at explaining, like, and I'm the expert, and explaining this to the jury, as if what she's doing was so absolutely accurate and absolutely the way to go, and absolutely wasn't. This is not, and that's why the defense was just so on her and said, like, listen, what are you doing? Like, this is total crap, right? Somebody sent some swabs from somewhere, and you're like, nope, no dog DNA. And then I think when she said, they looked into the mitochondrial DNA, then which is more robust and solid, in that test they found, and I think she was a little bit ashamed of that, to be honest. I could totally felt like in her voice, because she was so confidently saying this in the PCR, right, and the polymerase chain reaction to expand the DNA, and she said, like, nope, no canine, no DNA. But then when she looked into the mitochondrial DNA, she was a little bit like, we found pig. And I think she was a little bit ashamed of that, like kind of like, and she tried to explain that. And listen, how can a pig go in there, right? Because of the treats of the dog. I mean, this is just like, so I think they fell in their own trap. Okay, they just like, it was ridiculous. And what I found absolutely disgusting as an expert speaking, she was absolutely biased, and she was literally, when the defense was talking to her as an expert, you must be neutral. But she was so arrogant, so like absolutely biased and arrogant and mean. I mean, it was just hard to watch. I mean, this section, I will never ever ever want to watch it again because it was so hard to go through. And me as a geneticist, I was like, what is this? This is total crap. And she knows it, but maybe she doesn't know because she want to present herself as like this, I know it all, and this is so fancy schmancy, all the wording, right? But then the defense was like, this is like crap what you're doing. So out, right? So, oh my God, let's talk about Jen McCabe. So I took several, like the entire video. So when I saw her face in one of the pictures before a few days ago, and then I said, I want to see her on her face on the stand, and I will follow her face, particularly her eyes. And I will make a separate video. I already talked a little bit about in my previous video about eyes, okay? I took pictures, screenshots of from A to Z, from all of her, this stand as a witness. At no moment she was closing her eyes. Her eyes was open like this all the time. When she's surprised, she has these eyes. When she listens like this, she has these eyes. And these eyes are not, you know, big eyes. I have big eyes. I have big eyes. But this is different. The stare. Do you see the difference? What I'm doing? So I have big eyes, right? But this is a stare. And this is always like this. It doesn't change. Even if I'm shocked or am I listening. Like, this is something else, and I will not reveal it here. This is something else, and I will make a separate video and give you pictures of the collections I've done. So I will explain to you what that means, yeah? But in this testimony, look at her face. Every single face expression is like this. And the way, I took some notes, the way you can really hear the hatred towards Karen Reed. She hates her full stop. Particularly, it goes more and more and more and more. Watch it towards her end of the testimony. It literally goes like step by step by step by step by step, higher and higher and higher. And she gets like this angry and angrier towards her. And she, if you notice, I don't know if you have time, count it, how many times She was screaming, she was yelling, she was screaming, she was screaming, she was screaming, she was screaming. Maybe she said it 200 times. And she literally got jazzed up, jazzed up, jazzed up, jazzed up. And every time she gets more and more angry and angrier, and so like this, yeah. And she kept, like, whenever, it was almost as if her filler words were, if she didn't know what to say, she paused and said, she was screaming, she was yelling, she was screaming. Like, as if it was her filler words, she kept introduce this all the time. And the fake cry she had was just, I want that to be end. I want that to end. Like, I could not believe, I couldn't watch it. It was just, I want this to end. It was so disturbing to me, like the fakeness. As you all know, I'm a bullshit detector. I'm a fakeness detector. Like, I can smell it from thousands of miles away. And let me tell you, this, the moment she faked her cry, it was, she did it the first time, and then she did it two other times too. But the first time she was like, oh, and then she pretended that her nose was stuffy all the time, and she was like constantly, like, you know, had pretending the stuffy nose and doing all the noises with her nose was disgusting. But it was wild to me that you could tell the hatred she has towards Karen. I believe that she was crazy. I believe that she was, she was like putting her in. She was really saying this degrading wording towards her, like that she's crazy, that she's doing these things. I mean, she even said to herself that I was in shock. Literally, she said that. I was in shock. And at the whole time, she said that Karen was out of her mind. She was hysterical. She was like saying that how she screamed and yelled at her name, right? And she was telling all these weird things. I mean, imagine, like, for you, John might be in Just a Neighbor. This is her boyfriend and her husband to be, maybe, or the family. This is her family. She freaked out, right? I'm not saying that she might not be crazy. She might be. And some of the remarks she did made me also, in the past, when I heard some of her interviews, like, this is a little bit weird. Like, the sentences sometimes she's using, and it's just like a little bit off. And you can tell maybe she's not so much clear in her mind, but you can tell that she freaked out. And the way she puts it is that she's like a freak, she's out of her mind, she's crazy, right? And she screams, she yells, and she's screaming, she's screaming, she's screaming. She constantly says that, right? And then she even says that she slowly tried to put the pieces together, and then when Officer Lenk asked her, tell me what you know, what you see, and then she said to him, after she slowly started to try to put the pieces together, she said to the Officer Lenk, Karen said, to one of the EMTs that she hit him. And in the entire stand when she said, Karen said to her, I hit him, did I hit him? Could I hit him? Did I hit him? Could I hit him? And then she said, she heard that she said to the EMT, or the EMT said to her, what have you, that she hit him. And then she selectively, that's why I noted this, selectively says to Officer Lang, Karen said to one of the EMTs that she hit him. You didn't say, she might have hit him, could I hit him, did I hit him, could I hit him, did I hit him, could I hit him, did I hit him? No, you selectively said to him, to Officer Lang, which she said that she is growing up together and knowing him more and more growing up. They only have 5 years of age difference. So she got to know him more and more as they grew up. This is what she said about Officer Lang. So she selectively said to Officer Lang that she said that she hit him. So the amount of, and she said something interesting which I noticed, and I noted it here. And when she apparently woke, she barged into and woke her husband, her sister and Brian Albert up, she said something which was like, came out of her mouth, slipped out of her mouth to make her point even further interesting. She said, she slipped out of her mouth and said, Brian Albert even said, who's John? What? Number one, nobody said that. Even Brian Albert didn't say that. But she wanted to make it come across as so important, but she made a very big mistake there, because that didn't put, in my opinion, Brian Albert in a good shoes, because he's already not in a good shoes. But no, he would not, I don't think he would say, who's John? If he said that, this is fake news, right? Also. So that's that. So her hatred was absolutely visible toward Karen. She hated her. Every single word she used describing scenario, describing Karen, was visible in every single word she spent. You can tell. And her fake crying was just mind-blowing. So let's talk about this family here. Colin Albert, this guy was, teenager at that time. Now he's 20 years old. He has an alcohol problem. He has an alcohol problem. He has anger problem, anger issues, hatred, and he's full of anger, this child. But again, we cannot blame children. And let me tell you this, in every videos I'm doing an analysis regarding the child murders, like the school shooters and or the adult children who their narcissistic parents actually push them into murder, is clearly visible in these cases too. Narcissistic parents or unhealthy parents, unfunctional families can lead to the children to even commit murder, without, sometimes knowingly, sometimes without knowing, because they are just raised like this. Look at this. This is crazy to me. In my life, entire life, which is thankfully a long life, I've never in my entire life seen any family like this. Also not here in Boston, and I live here for 18 years. This is a family. On the left is Chris Albert, Colin Albert in the middle, and the mother Albert. I don't know her name, I forgot. But no one, and these two dudes, like the Chris Albert, and apparently there's so many things going on with him, and on the witness stand he was just total, like, unbelievable also, and the wife as well, right? So the way these two, when Colin was also a little kid, right? So Chris Albert also telling in the witness stand that when Colin was a little kid, I think 6 or 8 years old, he was passing the lawn of it cannot be 6 or 8 years old. It can be a little bit more, because John O'Keefe lived there for 8 years. So yeah, teenager, 12 years old, yeah, something like that. No, actually 12, 10, yeah, 10 years old, around that, yeah, 10 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. He was crossing over the lawn of John O'Keefe, and John O'Keefe said to him, "Don't cross over my lawn." And Colin, as a kid, he was so scared and told to his father. And the father told this to John O'Keefe. And then John O'Keefe asked Chris Albert what is Colin's favorite candy. So he could purchase these favorite candy and was bringing it over to them, and said and this is Chris Albert saying that on the witness stand, that John O'Keefe came to their house and telling to Colin, "Hey, I was just joking," and giving the candies to him. So there's a high possibility that he has this anger inside of him. And imagine when you have parents doing this. I mean, never in my entire life I've seen anything like this. Like, is this a joke? Is this funny? Is this actually funny? Like, I want to know if this is unbelievable to me. When you are raised with a family like this, and look at this, the father and the son. This is just crazy. This is not normal. This is not funny. Scratch the smiley face on your face. That's not funny. No parent should raise their child like this, their children like this. This is not cool. This is not normal. This is not funny. This is not cool. This is disgusting. This is hatred. This is, it is so many things. He has alcohol problems, and we'll also show you a picture from today and yesterday. Or yesterday and the day before, when he was on a witness stand. So he is non-stop in this anger mode, right? Non-stop, like, drunk, right? And the amount of alcohol going on in this trial with every single person, like, drunk, it is absolutely mind-blowing. It is also embarrassing when people start to comment, "Hey, in Massachusetts, apparently, there's like this, like, everybody, like, drink a lot," right? I mean, it is really, really bad. How can a teenager have access to so much alcohol and get so drunk? Like, what kind of parents are you guys, right? And then they show up like, "Oh, they're just like so, like, And the dressing, And let's talk about that, right? The dresses, what they are wearing, and immediately, this Chris Albert, like this, like Colin Albert, right? And like this conservative, this is the witness, right? Like the expert thing. Look at this. So when immediately I saw that, this was the first day, like 2 days ago, and Colin Albert came to the stand as a witness stand. Look at this. Immediately, that's why I immediately took this picture. I said, what? Nah, come on. Like, whom are you kidding, right? Like, this nice guy. So that was before they believed that they could trick the jury with this nice shirt, and he came across absolutely as this. Like, if you wouldn't know any of the, or didn't see any of the pictures I showed you, and I have more but didn't put them here, way more weird. And by the way, he has pictures where he has a necklace with a cross, of course, right? And so when you would just look at these pictures without knowing the other pictures I showed to you, you would think like, like it's impossible. What, this? Anger issues? No, look at his face, like very nice boy. And then this was the time when the prosecution was, asking him questions, and he was just answering the questions. Then time was over. Next day, meaning yesterday, he was on the stand again. This time for the defense. And guess what? Look at how he looks. This is how he looked the next day. And when you look closer to his face, do you see like the redness of his eyes? And he was just like all the redness here, all the redness here. And here, you see that? Eyes were puffy. This guy versus this guy the next day. Literally, either he drunk that yesterday from stress or what have you, or he took in things. I mean, in my opinion, he was drinking the day before. Like, after that day, from all the stress, because he knew the next day will be the defense, he was so nervous and drank the hell out of himself. This is a problem. He's only 20 years old. So this, and for whatever, and it was so hard to watch that he said to all of the, he answered all of the questions. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't know. It was just painful to watch. And then when the prosecution questioned again, because he's the prosecution witness, then suddenly he remembered again everything. And then when the defense took over again, he again didn't remember anything. But the defense obviously took off, bring out all these pictures, particularly the videos. Let me show you that. The videos. Like this video and this video, then it was totally a different picture was being presented to the jury. And that was important, because I just said this guy and the one in the stand, totally different people, right? Like his mother and father. Very like, no. Also, do you see how conservatively this woman was wearing? Very conservative. Oh my, I can't, when I look at her face, it's just so bothering me. Like the anger she had towards Karen was unbelievable. It was so obvious. But I think the defense caught so many things that they will tomorrow, actually on Tuesday, use against her, because the defense, as you saw in the very end, he was laughing. Like, he was laughing, and I think the reason for that is that he caught things that it, you know, it it will be very, very interesting to watch, because I can't wait to watch her the cross-examination with the defense. But again, let me see here. So we talked about the fakeness of her cry, the family, just unhealthy family structure, narcissism, right? Like this type of family, unhealthy families, the way they affect the children, total of alcohol, crazy amount of alcohol in this case. Everybody is drunk, everybody is young and still drinking like crazy. Nobody remembers anything. Everybody has a different story. Nobody's story adds up. And the hatred, the anger, right? Because you have so dysfunctional families. Look, I mean, well, which parent give a photo shoot like this? Like, who does that? And so the jealousy, right? The jealousy towards Officer O'Keefe, the three guys, Colin, Brian Alberts, Brian Higgins, jealous toward John O'Keefe, and this lady, Jan McCabe, absolutely hating Karen. Absolutely. Like, unbelievable. So this case is a true fact of hatred and jealousy, combination with alcohol and dysfunctional families, entitlement, jealousy, hatred, all together. And these two people are the outsiders. Remember, I talked this in the previous video, the outsiders. The whole family, the whole group, and the two are outsiders. And unfortunately, Officer O'Keefe thought that these people are his friends. Even Jen thought they were their friends. They were not. I don't think Karen so much thought they were their friends, but Officer O'Keefe, I think he wanted to believe that they are their friends. Fake friends. Fake friends. They were never friends. They were never friends. Again, the only truthful witness, this expert done out. She was crazy, hard to watch. This guy and this girl and this guy were the only truthful witnesses. Particularly this witness, Heather, was unbelievable. She was the only 100% trustworthy in my mind. Her body language, absolutely no fear. Come at me, prosecution, come at me, defense. I give the answers because that's what I know. I don't fear anybody. I'm not involved with any of these people. I tell how it is. She was confident. She was relaxed because she has no games, no fear, no nobody, no nothing. This guy, Nagel, was also telling the truth, in my opinion. He was a little bit nervous because I think he was kind of like in the between with the Nagel family. I mean, his sister. was super friends with Albert, so he was a little bit nervous, but he still said the truth, and she as well. So and this guy was also, you know, these three were the only ones, in particular her was the only ones in the entire time trustworthy in this trial. No one else were trustworthy. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me how the story keeps changing, and when you have so much alcohol involved and the people who are involved are so young, and still they have so much alcohol problem. There is a problem in Massachusetts we need to solve. Like, this is crazy. And how can families give access to so, and it's normalizing so much alcohol as a teenager, right? This guy was a teenager and he was completely drunk, and while making these "I beat you up" videos, right? Total drunk. And no one, if this guy has a history of being drunk, and you can tell even in one day difference in his witness stand, and he looked completely different. I'll show you again, like the way he sit on day one with the prosecution, and then the next day, boom. Like, he literally, I think he drunk the day before from stress. He has problems, and I think it's horrible. And if you imagine, if for example, and this we see this a lot with narcissistic families or with dysfunctional families, unhealthy families, how much they affect their children, and they commit murder, even sometimes it's unwillingly, and sometimes it's just because they don't know better. And say, for example, if this dude is actually found guilty, and if he did that and he was found guilty later on, when maybe they will sue him and they will find out that maybe he did it, what have you. Imagine if he would go to jail, like he's only 20 years old. And we see this so a lot, right? Even with adults, like when remember last year or the year before with the school shooting, that teenager, totally school shooter, and he was literally texting with his mother, and not only he went to jail, but his mother and father were also jailed. Like, the entire family. Like, imagine that. Also, as an adult, right? If you have a narcissistic parent, and that, remember like how these three white men were squashing the black young man who was running, and they just like chased after him and they shot him, right? And the guy who shot him was the son, was not the father. The father, an old man, and the son was an adult. So the old father said to it, actually pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and gaslighted his son. So the son actually shot and killed him. They were all indicted, but for actually killing the young man was the son. And that's what I'm saying here. You know, the children are so much in danger when we keep normalizing behaviors like this and normalizing, right? And have such like maniac family who are entitled, and who does that, right? Who gives a pose like this? The mother, the father, and the child. Look at this. Like, I mean, I can't get out of this off my mind. I've never in my entire life, and listen, I have so many like friends from all over the world, right? From all cultures, all nations. But this, I've never seen anything like this. This should not be normalized, and I will end this video with that. This should not be normalized. This is an alcohol problem, an anger problem, dysfunctional family problem, entitlement problem, a deep root entitlement, right? Just because you're a cop doesn't mean you just can do whatever the hell you want and you're above the law. And let me tell you this from another perspective, from if you want to see another perspective, I think that, in my opinion, Karen Read will be exonerated and the structure of the entire Orbitz family will be broken because the people will win. We, the people, remember that? I talked a lot about this. It is the time for the next 20 years of we, the people. The last 20 years of structures, of governments, of these large corporations to suppress the people is over. The next 20 years is all about we, the people. And that's why all these cases, all these governments, all the structures, all the big corporations are now being breaking down one by one by one by one. All the politicians, right? All their crap are coming out and everyone is getting justice back. The people get the justice back. No more cover-ups, right? With that being said, I hope you found this video helpful and valuable. And if you're in my mind, saying that we are absolutely, work on mental health, physical health, emotional health, and save these youth, right? And yeah, I mean, this case is just one of the huge example how alcohol really, and the underlying anger and hate and jealousy and entitlement and everything all combined is actually a reasoning of murdering somebody, a good guy. And from the good guy's perspective, as I mentioned in my previous video, if you're a good person, know who is your enemy. You should also clear the boundaries, right? And just say, if you have a gut feeling, which most of the nice people have, then you should trust that. Just because you just fill out the gap, that's not how it is. I'm 100% for certain that he had a gut feeling, but he wasn't listening to that. He wanted to believe that these are their friends. And that's why he constantly was hanging out. Why? Also because these people were his neighbors and they did have children activities together. And they faked friendship. And I keep saying you must really be open-eyed and understand who fakes and your friendship to you. And you need to have your radars open and trust in your gut feeling. If something is fishy, get the hell out of there. Move. Go elsewhere. Don't stay there. Because once you have this deep hatred, people crossing your boundaries by crossing your lawn and taking selfies, right? Like, I don't screw your boundaries, I'm actually cross your lawn. That's actually a physical explanation and presentation of I am crossing your boundaries. I have absolutely no respect for your boundaries. And when Chris Albert was questioned about that, he said it was just a joke. And ha 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 ha, the smiley face. No, sir. No, sir. That's your effed up mind. That's not normal. That's not funny. That's not healthy. That's crap. And I really, really wished that John O'Keefe was able to see that and could have had get the hell out of there. Sold his house and just moved elsewhere. But he wanted to believe that they are his friends. And I just want to say something else. It slipped out of my mind as I said that, but I forgot. But anyway, maybe I should write it if I remember in the comments. But that's what I have. I hope you liked it. If you did, I would appreciate if you like it. And yeah, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And subscribe, because I'm analyzing so many videos regarding that. It's just the things I do. I like to do the analysis based on psychology, mental health, psychology, psychoanalysis, body language, and especially sociological impact of all of this. Mental health, physical health, emotional health has a huge, severe sociological issue, is a problem, and we need to address that. And I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in our Sunday live for our weekly